Ayinger Maibock.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. Today I have got one from the famous Ayinger Brewery from Bavaria, and this is their Maibock. Now, if you're wondering what a Maibock is, it is basically, it's a Helles that is brewed to bock strength, usually. Sometimes it's called a Helles bock, sometimes it's called a Heller bock, you know, all the same thing basically. And these beers were usually brewed in the wintertime, stored for a while, and they're associated with springtime, and hence the name Maibock after the month of May. Now, there's, you know, various types of beer of this description. Obviously you get the Doppelbock, you get Winterbock, and Maibock is another style. Bock is basically a strong beer. That's what it actually means. The ABV on this is usually quite, well, I wouldn't say quite high, but it's higher than normal. This one is 6.9%, which is quite high for a Pilsner Helles type beer. But that's what would have happened. It would have fermented, and all the sugars that were in the post-boil during the fermentation, because they were stored for so long, everything would have been consumed by the yeast that was in there. They may have even added yeast after that fermentation for a secondary fermentation in the cold. And, you know, that's why lager is as clear and refreshing as it is. It's using bottom fermented yeast. It will rest for a while, and these yeast will devour everything that is edible, or the sugars that are edible, in that fermentation. And of course the byproduct of the yeast eating these sugars is alcohol and carbon dioxide. The alcohol coming from their piss, and the carbon dioxide coming from their burping and their farting. It is disgusting, but we all drink it, so shut up. All right. This is a 500ml bottle. It's 6.9%, and as with all the Ayinger beers, they all conform to the Reinheitsgebot, which is basically the German purity law. I'm gradually working my way through every beer that Ayinger do, but this isn't listed on the website, funny enough, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's a seasonal beer, maybe because it's discontinued, I don't know. But I like to do a bit of research before I review beers, and I always go to the website because that is basically the source. If what the brewer is saying about their beer isn't true, then, you know, what hope have you got? But this isn't listed on their website. I don't know why. As I say, it could be a seasonal beer, it could be discontinued, I don't know. So let's stop gassing and let's open this beer up. Right, there you go. Now, as I always say on these Ayinger reviews, there's the cap. I absolutely love the cap, because me and this autofocus are going to have a serious reckoning one day, and it is not going to be fucking pretty. I'm using a Canon camera. Canon is supposed to be the best in the world. Ah, there you go. See, and then it goes out of focus again. There. So now you know. Right. So that goes in the collection, and let's pour a bit out and see what we got. Now, normally, as I say, this is a Helles. It's usually, these beers are a little bit more spicy, and the malt content isn't as big, usually, as I say, because if it's been lagered for a while, with bottom fermenting yeast over the winter, they are going to thrive on any of the sugars from the malt that are in there, and it's basically going to kill the sweetness and turn everything into alcohol. But there it is. It looks quite nice. Very golden in its appearance. I've got a 1.5 finger head. Disappointing in this heat, unfortunately. What have we got on the nose? Wow. Wow. The spice on this. That is almost filling my nostrils. It's like an earthy spice of big black pepper. There is some malt in there, but this tastes, I can imagine, this is going to taste like a proper German Pilsner. But the amount of spice that was on that initial nostrils full of aroma was just filled with pepper, and it almost caught me. Yeah, and there's a bit of lemon in there now as well. It does smell nice, but it smells like a Pilsner more than a Helles. I think this is going to be interesting. Let's get it down the hatch. Zum Wohl, as they say in Germany. Oh wow. That's quite fruity. It almost tastes like a dark beer, but there is a lot of spirit alcohol that I'm getting in there. And at 6.9%, I'm not too surprised that that's there. This does taste really fruity on first mouthful, and it does taste like a Doppelbock almost. You know, where you got that. I know there's no caramel malt in that, you can tell that straight away, but there is a real sweet fruity flavour. I don't know whether that's my mind playing tricks. Let's have another go. No, it isn't. Wow, what a strange beer. I'm definitely getting fruity caramel notes. In a blindfold test, I would swear blind that was a dark beer. It's very sweet, and it's like there's honey in there as well. It's like honey and vanilla. That's what I'm getting. It's really sweet. Now, you can tell there's a bit of an alcoholic kick in that. And it's 6.9%. You'd sort of expect that. And I'm saying that this conforms to the Reinheitsgebot, and it does. But I'm getting, what I can only deduce is fruit, honey, vanilla, and spice. They're the three main things that dominate. Now, that sweetness, I'm not sure whether it's coming from the malt or not. But it's definitely there. And it makes for a really interesting type of beer. Now, I think, I could be wrong, but I think this is the first Maibock that I've tried. Certainly never tried this before. And I've tried Doppelbocks before and Bocks as well. But this really is something special. It's tasty. It's got a lot of, there is spirit alcohol, as I said, but there is spice on that too. But from the aroma, I never would have imagined there was that sweetness in there. It's like honey. I'm sure it's honey or vanilla or something like that. But it's really fruity. Now I wonder, there's definitely some sort of noble hop in there, like Hallertau. I imagine it's Hallertau, because Hallertau are the hops that are grown in the region of Bavaria. They're the most commonly used. But there was a fruit coming from somewhere, and I can only think it's coming from another hop, because it's like a dark fruit, and it's the sort of fruit you'd imagine you'd get along with caramel malt. Now, initially I thought that was caramel malt, but it's not. I think it's a mixture of the spirit alcohol and the fruit that's sort of tricking my mind into thinking that. But there, on the finish, there is a load of spice as well, like black pepper. It's a really interesting beer. Mouthfeel is absolutely superb. Really is good. And you know, Maibocks can vary in colour. They can normally be quite a light colour, like a Helles, and anything through to a medium amber. And this is like a golden straw, slightly dark golden straw. But I'll tell you something, there is a lot of flavour going on in this. This is not your average strong Helles. So what's the verdict? Yeah, really good. I wouldn't have expected anything less from Ayinger, but this Maibock has completely blown me away. Now, I've tried, as I say, I've tried Doppelbocks, I've tried Winterbocks, and I've tried Bock beer, dark Bock beer. And yeah, they are quite high in the alcohol ABV, but you get so much more flavour with this. I mean, to the untrained eye, that looks like your average lager, doesn't it? Or your average Pilsner even. But it's not. There is definitely a hell of a lot of flavour going on here. It's like a sweet honey vanilla, spice, spirit alcohol, little touch of biscuit malt, and then that finish that's like quite sweet, but you've got a sprinkling of black pepper over the top. I really like it. That is a really interesting beer. I am going to give that, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. The reason I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10 is I think, well, it's 6.9%, so I wouldn't session this, but I think the flavours are so strong in this that this is one for savouring. It's not one for sessioning. And as much as I do like it, I think after about 3 or 4, I think it would be too much. And it's 6.9%. Fucking hell, yeah. I think I would be struggling a little bit, to say the least. But it's a really good one, and I'll definitely recommend that. Again, another winner from Ayinger. But I've not had a bad one from them. They've been a little bit disappointing for the only reason they haven't met their own high standards. On the strength of each beer on its own, it's been really good. But for me, I expect nothing but perfection from Ayinger, because that's what I'm used to from them, is perfection. One of my favourite beers of all time, the Alt-Bayerisch Dunkel, is made by Ayinger. And, you know, if you're going to do that, then I think, and, you know, all their other beers, the Weiss beer, you've got to try their Weiss beer. It is absolutely gorgeous, the Brauerei. It is amazing. It is a real good Weiss beer, because they just get everything right. You know, Bavarian. I know I keep going on about how good Bavarian beer is, but it is. If it wasn't good, I wouldn't say it's good. So there you go. So that is a 9 out of 10. I definitely recommend it. Get it on Beers of Europe. No, did I get this on Beers? No, I didn't. I got this on Noble Green. Got it on Noble Green, and it was under £3. So that is a bargain in anyone's book. So buy it and enjoy it. And remember, beer is working class champagne.